Now, the Bram Weinstein Show on Washington's new home for sports, ESPN 630.
Hey, babies. Hey, babies. Hey, babies. Hi, everyone. Monumental opportunities, everyone. Hi, everyone. Opportunities today, everyone. Hi, everyone.
Somebody watched the game last night.
Oh, man. It hits me over the head with the monumental opportunity stuff. I also think he needs to get in front of a different audience.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that.
If I'm watching the Jazz and the Wizards, considering what their
10 o'clock
record
on a
is at 10
Monday.
o'clock on a Monday, I'm going to go with, I kind of don't care what you do as long as the team stays here and plays somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
So, like it's all just blah, blah, blah. Just get back to Chris Miller. Let's go. Come on. Come on. Do a pool party. We had a pool party for 10 minutes last night.
Look at you, wanted to get back to the action so fast.
I did. Well, after I have to hear about all the things that are, it's great for them. Like, it's just enough, enough. But, they're full PR spin mode. Anyway, I'll talk about them later.
The fourth quarter. So.
Yeah, I'll talk about them later. My friend Rick Snider, longtime columnist, is going to join us in about 20 minutes. I'm going to ask him about that. One of the things I want to talk to him about. What does he think? I haven't taken his temperature on that. He follows all the RFK stuff very closely, so I want to talk to him about that. He also has a new book, which is why he's coming on today. But I want to ask him about Tedland. I wonder what his pulse is on that one.
You got to ask Rick, because Rick and John have covered the team probably the most out of this beat, right?
Rick's
lifer. I mean,
yeah.
He's got books. I own some of his books on the Redskins. But I would say, was Rick there when they tried to announce the Potomac Yard?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
No doubt.
All right, I'm saying.
This is his wheelhouse. He loves this, where they might go. It's like his total wheelhouse.
Right.
You got Michael Phillips in Virginia on the Virginia stuff, and Rick on the D.C. stuff with the Redskins moves, non-moves. But considering he's kind of in that realm, I do want to hear I just want to hear his opinion of the monumental opportunity that's in front of us today.
Did Jack Kent Cook get T-shirts printed up that said,
I would have loved
Redskins opportunity on it or something?
Jack Kent Cook have the same reputation in a social media age? I don't know.
Ooh.
That's a sports radio bit right there. I don't know. I think if you had, local TMZ following him around with his, mistresses and fiancés and weird dogs and him yelling at people all the time, I don't know if it would have gone very well. I think it would have turned into a Howard Hughes type thing, actually.
They won, though. So
they won.
That's all that anyone
in
cares
the end,
about.
Again, this goes back to nobody ever wants to hear this, but it's the God's honest truth. If the Redskins won a lot, Dan Snider would still be the owner. I don't care what you have to say about it.
That's the problem with
that.
That
is the truth. Had he won a lot, everybody would have just put up with a lot of things.
Right, but
he
lost
didn't.
Because he was a terrible
They
owner.
lost a lot.
So.
They lost a lot. Today in the NFL is
on that front. George Preston Marshall would have had a problem in the social media
well,
age.
He was a little behind the times even then.
Sir, why don't you have a black player yet? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he had a song. He changed the song to fight for old Dixie. Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
Slight problem.
Can you imagine?
He did what?
Yeah.
PR would have been working overtime for him.
For all the people that want to rewrite history, that stuff happened, and it wasn't that long ago. Like, if you really think about it, it wasn't that long ago.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Here.
Yes.
Here. Liberal bastion, Washington, D.C. Look, nope, we can't have any black players on the team. Like, that wasn't that long ago. Yeah. I know. All right. Let's see. What's happening in the NFL today is tag day. Right. We're not going to tag anybody with the franchise tag for sure, because the only person who was even, remotely a candidate for it was Cam Curl.
Yep.
Because he's the only one that's coming up for a contract, and they're not going to do that. And I did find this interesting. There was a safety that was tagged today, Kyle Duggar from New England, but he got the transition tag, which is different. And one of the tweets came from, it was either Ian Rappaport or Schefter, I can't remember, one of the two, but he described it as, you could trade for him. There's actually no compensation. That's right. But they get the match. That's what they hold you to. You have to give them a certain amount. It's not the franchise tag number. It's this. So you're committing to a certain number. If someone comes and offers them something else, you have an opportunity to match, or you just let them walk at that point. But they put in the tweet about it, in the depressed market for safeties. So that's not good for Cam Curl.
That's right.
So, i.e., why no tag is being placed on him today. Exactly. One, they don't, and I agree with this, and I don't mean this in the wrong way. Like, they don't perceive him as a top 5 player at his position. Sure. And, I just, again, like I've gone back to, like, he's not He's not Derwin James. Like, he doesn't alter the games. He's a really, really, really good player. I hope he's back here. I hope they sign him to something. But we are now, about 5-6 days away from finding out what kind of interest there is on him. But they're not even going this far to go, we'll put this transition tag on you, which really allows him to survey the market and potentially get a better deal than that. But they haven't even done that yet.
Yeah, right.
So they're because I think they want him back. And it was my sense that he wants to come back. But I feel like that both sides want to work it out. But it's going to be interesting to see what the contract looks like. And they're not tagging him in any way. Forget the franchise tag. They're not even putting this transition tag on him. And then to hear Rappaport out loud, or whoever was Schefter out loud, say, depressed market for that position in a year where the money went up.
Yep.
We'll probably get a deal done for what we want.
Yeah, for sure. No. There's no doubt on that. And the fact is, you've heard me reference it a couple of times. The ESPN piece that they do during training camp, when they ask executives and front office scouts and coaches about players at their position, Cam Curl wasn't on the list. And
he doesn't pop up.
And it included a top 10 and then probably 6 to 8 honorable mentions.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even mentioned in the top 18 players. Like, it tells you around the league that he wasn't even really being looked at, essentially.
He's going to be one of those players, like, there will be interest in him. He's a very good player. So there's going to be interest in him, but there will be a number. No one's going to give him a top 5 contract. That's not going to happen because he doesn't get a lot of sacks or fumbles or interceptions.
Yeah, right.
But I think he's a underrated, really good player. At least in the last defense, I'd argue he was the most consistent, best player. And when he was absent, there was a obvious hole that occurred when he wasn't playing.
For sure.
So I'd like to have him back. I also appreciate his professionalism last year because it wasn't like, the Deron Payne stuff where they're like, you got to play out this contract, but he's making a ton of money. He's a first-round pick. He had to play out a contract as a 7th-round pick. He's not making real money. And he did. Right. He didn't do the hold-in stuff. He didn't do any of that stuff. So he was really professional. Every time he was asked about it, which wasn't that often, but when he was, he totally just took the high road and said, I'm here to play football now, and made it sound like he'd like to be here. So I want to reward people like that. I appreciate the professionalism that he showed. I appreciate, that they got a deal on him. He turned out to be a hit as a 7th-round pick. I'd like to see him stay. I don't know how this new group totally feels about him, but I haven't gotten any sense when I talk to everybody down there that they want to lose him. They don't, but they're going to have to find the right price. And this was always a tricky one because I know what his dad was tweeting. And I never thought that was particularly realistic. But,
sure.
I hope he gets, I'm for the players here. I want them to get as much as they can. And so hopefully he gets the deal that he wants. But them not even putting a transition tag on him after New England did with Kyle Duggar. And I think Kyle Duggar is a good player, but same thing. Not a great player, good player.
Yep.
They just went, okay, there's a level, and we're willing to meet that level with you. And if you find something better than that, good luck with your career. Yeah. We don't think you will.
Right.
And the market apparently is depressed. And then Jamal Adams got cut today. So
speaking of terrible trades that people are transitioning out of,
that was a terrible trade.
That's one of the worst trades in the modern era.
That one did not work
2
out.
1st-round picks for a safety that you made the highest paid safety, and then he played what? I think I saw the number today. It was
he missed a lot of games. He also he was real ornery with people and got into it with the media in some ugly ways this past year.
Scuffled with doctors in the last year too. Bad all around.
It was bad. So he's gonna hit the open market. That's gonna be interesting. Someone's gonna sign him, but the question is for what?
That's a vet minimum deal with incentives written all over it. I mean,
agree.
No one's gonna take a chance on that guy.
I agree.
For any real money.
And he's another name that just popped up that I went, I don't think so. Not here. I don't think that one doesn't feel right to me because we're either even if we don't re-sign Cam Curl because he gets a better deal in the open market, or I don't know. Listen, we still have 6 days to figure it out.
Sure.
Maybe they didn't put a tag on him because they're talking to him and they don't need to do that. Maybe that's happening. I mean, hopefully that's what's happening. If not, then we'll have to play chicken with him when free agency opens and see if there is a bigger deal on the market for him than we're surmising there will be. But maybe we'll hear some news about that. Well, maybe that'll be the first major re-signing that occurs here.
They could also be talking to him, go find a deal and then get back to us.
Yeah.
You know where to call us now.
You know who to call. You call this number, and if this person's not around, call this number.
Somebody will pick up this time.
Somebody will pick up, right? We'll pick up this time.
Ask J.D. McKissick how that works.
Oh, man. Let's see. So the other tags that are out there, Josh Allen from the Jaguars, the defensive end, is going to be tagged. They were claiming they felt like something may happen, but they're going to tag him on the just in case. Jalen Johnson, corner from the Bears.
Yep.
When he got into a contract squabble last fall, I was like, go get him.
Yeah, right.
I like him. Yep. I was like, go get him. Oh, they want Montez Sweat? Fine, go get him.
Right.
Go bring him back. Go get him. But we weren't in the position of acquiring anybody at that point. Sounds like they're going to get something done too, but they'll tag him if they have to.
Yep.
Antoine Winfield, very good corner for the Buccaneers, is going to get it. Brian Burns, he's a ridiculous, and this is a sign of how things have been run down there. They were offered 2 first-round picks for him 2 years ago.
Yeah, right.
They wouldn't give up on him. And now they haven't given him the contract he wants because they're in a contract squabble with him. So now they're going to franchise him to try to limit his mobility and probably have to trade him anyway because he's probably like, guys. Now you're paying me like a top 5 player, but you wouldn't do it before and you're refusing to do it now. What are we doing
Crazy
here?
Tepper.
That's crazy Tepper. You either want the guy or you don't.
That's right.
If you don't, you were offered what you would get on a franchise tag for somebody, 2 first-round picks, and they turned it down, and in the interim, haven't paid him.
That's right, yes.
I don't know what they're doing.
It's just nice we're not them anymore.
I don't know what them and Minnesota right now. I don't know what they're doing.
2 different degrees.
ways.
Yeah,
way different degrees.
Yeah.
The Carolina ones feel predictable now because you're just like, yeah, so wait a minute. Let me get this straight.
You're watching 20-year-old
you. don't want to
you.
sign him, right? You don't want to sign him. But you also don't want to take what the compensation would be by not signing him. What do you want then? Well, we just want him to play 1 more year under a tag and then what, lose him?
It is like
it doesn't even, you have to make a choice, guys. You got to make a choice, and they're not making a choice. So they're weird. That's weird.
It's like watching yourself in college.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, God, dude, we've been through this before.
Make a choice. You have to make a choice. They don't seem to want to. And if I'm him, I want out of there because I'm like, for crying out loud, like, if you want to keep me so bad, give me the contract that the guys of my caliber make. We don't want to do that. Fine, trade me. Someone offered you 2 first-round picks. Well, no.
No.
Well, what do you want then? We're just going to limit your mobility?
Right.
Like what?
Right.
So I assume he's going to get traded, I think, but I bet not for what they were offered a couple years ago for him.
That's right.
Because now you do have to pay him that amount of money.
Yeah. He screams draft day trade.
Probably.
Someone steps up and gives you a 2nd-round pick or something.
It just doesn't make any sense. Let's see. The Ravens are going to tag their defensive tackle, Justin Madubuike, if they cannot get a deal done. But it sounds like it's been heading that direction anyway. He really came on last year, so he turned into a big-time stud. And the Ravens don't make mistakes like this where they get into weird squabbles with people. And so, they've made some weird choices in the past couple of years. Like I thought the Matthew Judon one was a weird choice that they made.
Sure.
But this one, it seems like they're kind of on top of and they're going to bring back. So that one, all of these other tags, Josh Allen sounds like he's going to get a deal with the Jaguars. Jalen Johnson sounds like he's going to get a deal with the Bears. Winfield's going to get a deal with the Buccaneers. Madubuike is going to get a deal done with the Ravens. It's the Panthers that can't seem to. They're tagging a guy that they don't want to pay.
On Madubuike, too, it means that Patrick Queen is definitely hitting the open market, by the way.
He'll be a name that I'll watch.
Because that was one of those situations where it's going to be interesting to see who they tag because you could only tag one, obviously, and Queen's going to hit the free agent market. So
this is one of those. He's one of the first names that I've seen that I'm like, okay, we need a middle linebacker.
Yes, badly. Yes.
Right, we need one. Now, what's his price? Right? What's his price?
Right.
Because I like him, and I think he's been pretty good, but I don't want to, I'll call him Cam Curl of middle linebackers. He's like a very good player. He doesn't turn anything upside down. He's not Fred Warner. So what does he want?
Right.
And I don't want to, I got the sense from Adam Peters and company when they spoke about this that they're not going to do things like that, overpay for the sake of overpaying.
Right.
If, in your crazy land conversation that you had with me yesterday about getting Justin Jefferson, if they want to overpay to make that happen, all right, but he's also an elite player at his position.
Sure.
All right. I don't think Patrick Queen is that. I think he's a very good player. He would be an upgrade from what we have. He would certainly fill a hole, a massive one that we've had for the last couple of years that was never addressed by the former group. And considering that they are already on the record basically saying Jamin Davis is kind of moving out of being what you would describe as a typical linebacker, which I think is also the right thing to do. We have more and more needs at that group. I'd understand it, but I still don't advocate spending too much money for an average to above average player.
Yeah.
He's not Fred Warner, right? If we're going to get someone like that, fine. But I don't think he's that. But he is a name I'll watch now. And we'll just have to see what the market is for someone like him. Because if the price is right, I'm all for it. But if the price is like elevated, this is where you get yourself into trouble. When you start overpaying for other people's players and you expect them to achieve a different level for you, I think you're asking a lot. And so I want to know what the price is for him. But he's one of those that I'd look at and go, okay, well, let's see what the price is for him. We clearly need this. I don't want David Mayo playing a lot of games at middle linebacker again. No offense. Actually,
you mean it's not a good plan?
I'll tell you what, when it was a run play and he saw it, he was actually really great.
Sure.
But
and then everything else.
It was rough. But it was sad because it's one of those things where it's like, he can't cover anybody.
Oh, yeah.
You know this.
Everyone knew that.
You know this. So it's just unfair when you see him running around trying to chase these people down. So we'll see, but Patrick Queen will be an interesting one, and I'll keep an eye on him. And then we'll start probably later this week going through the free agents that we know of that are going to be out there and start trying to earmark somebody for here because we do have a lot of money to spend. And while I believe Peters and company when they say they're not going to go out of their way to spend bad money, we do have some holes to fill. We got a lot of money to spend, so something's going to happen.
Right. No, and as I said, too, the extra $30 million is going to pivot some strategies there that you can take care of this year. So.
I agree. All right, the big news today was the Giants aren't going to tag Saquon Barkley.
Right.
Which I guess they just figure because running backs don't get a lot of money or they just feel like he's loyal to them. Mm-hmm. And at this point, I don't know why he is other than he just likes playing there and he just likes being a Giant. And maybe there is that. But the fact that they're not trying to protect him at all is a touch surprising to me. And it actually kind of reads to me, they don't care if he leaves.
Yes.
Which... if I'm him, after this is the second year of it, take the hint. If you're willing to play on their terms, they'll have you back. But if you're not, then they kind of don't care. So this makes me happy because I'm assuming he's not going to the Cowboys. And c'est la vie, because anybody who's that good being out of our division weakens that team. I'm sorry. They don't have anybody even remotely close to him. And he's their offense. At this juncture, he's their offense. So... all right, Giants. And I got to tell you, too, they're another one. They're starting to head in this direction of the Vikings where I'm going, what are you guys doing? Because I don't really totally get it. I think you overpaid Daniel Jones. If you listen to Rich Eisen, he basically said, I heard at the Combine that they're sick of it and they feel like they made a bad deal, of which... why am I not in the front office? I told you this last year. You can't pay him that salary. You just have to move on. You're going to regret it. It doesn't make you better. It just limits your flexibility, and he is what he is. He's fine. He's not a $40 million a year quarterback. And at the same time, the best player on your team who makes a fraction of it, you're nickel and diming him.
Yeah, right.
You're telling him I can't give you $12 million. You gave that guy 42. You can't give him 12. I got to tell you, what are you guys doing?
Right.
What are you guys doing? You took no hardline stance on Daniel Jones, but you did on Saquon Barkley 2 years in a row. And, oh, by the way, the rest of your team, no one's looking at it going, well, that one's pointing up.
Right.
So what are you guys doing up there?
They're a franchise that you're like, what happened to you guys? They're just
what are you guys
perennially
doing?
Terrible. Besides a couple years ago when they won a playoff game.
When they brought in Joe Shane from Buffalo, and then they hired Daboll, I was like, watch out now. This might be good. And then after that first year without Daboll, it appeared that Josh Allen worked well with Daboll and not with his successor. And I was like, look out. Of course, they made the playoffs, and then they had to make the stupid decision of whether they were going to sign Daniel Jones to the contract that they did. And they did. And now Rich Eisen did this whole thing yesterday, got all over the internet where he said, I heard at the Combine that they're done with him. Well, too late. Buyer's remorse. You're stuck with it. And now, so they're trying to paint a picture, what? It's his fault that they signed him to that contract? Because that's what it feels like. They don't have an answer of how to fix their team, so they're now trying to blame Daniel Jones, who they gave the contract to. You didn't have to give him the contract. I tried to tell you this up front. You shouldn't, but you did anyway. And I said it at the time. I go, this makes them weaker. It doesn't make them stronger. It makes them weaker. They're going to realize it sooner rather than later. Unless Jones' ceiling changes tremendously, and it didn't last year. It was the same, if not worse, and partially because of injuries.
Well, I was going to say, that was the funny part, is last year he was hurt for so long.
He was
it's not
hurt a
even
lot.
like it made that much of a difference,
Right.
which I find really funny.
But
actually.
he wasn't at the beginning of the season when they
sure.
played a very tough schedule, and I went, watch, they're going to go down. And they he started being Danny Dimes again.
Right.
They started losing games. Their defense isn't very good, and then their whole thing hinges on Saquon Barkley, who for whatever reason they pissed off the whole year.
Yeah.
He's going to sign somewhere else. Like, if I'm him, as much as he enjoyed being a Giant, they're not rolling out even anything close to a red carpet for him anymore.
Yeah.
So I think he's just got to wake up and go, I guess you guys just don't really want me. He's a top 5 player at his position. Like, I don't know why they don't want him back. I think he is the key to any explosiveness they have in their offense at all. And if you, granted, the offseason's just about to begin, and they do have a draft, and they have free agency, and we'll see what they do. But you think we got holes. Go look at their roster.
Yeah, right.
And they're about to have another one. Like, Daniel Jones is going to be their quarterback this year. No one's taking that contract off their hands. There's nothing they could do about it, at least for a year. So they're going to have him as the quarterback. And now they're not going to have Barkley with him? What do they think? Jalen Hyatt's going to become Justin Jefferson?
Right.
Darren Waller's talking about retiring?
Mm-hmm. Saw that.
Gee, I wonder why.
Yep.
He's been hurt a lot. But also, he might be looking at this going, I don't know, man.
Right.
I don't know. So I don't know what they're doing. I don't know why they're doing this to him. He's their best player. He's a Ring of Fame player for them.
The Giants, for years, and they just don't make sense. Like, I don't know if it's because of ownership there or
it could
what,
be.
but it's
well, my
terrible.
guess is Joe Shea knows he's about to get fired.
Yeah.
And Joe Shea is starting the process of ownership made us do this. That's what this is.
Yeah.
They made us sign Jones to this. I wouldn't have done it. Now, whether that's true or not,
right?
Who knows?
Yeah, right.
But that's what I think they're starting the process of. And in the meantime, he's playing hardball with the player on his team who's the best player on his team.
Right. I mean, it still does boil down to, do you want to give any top running back money, especially when you're not getting ready to compete either? Like, I do see it from that point.
I guess, but so you give him $13 million as opposed to $12, and that kills your cap. What way?
Or you just draft a running back in the second round. I mean,
but it's not going to be him.
Sure.
See, I fall into the category of, if you have somebody of that level, you just pay them.
Yeah, but
you just do it. He's different. That's the point. He's different. He's not just any average running back. He's a different player.
But when you have a quarterback that's not producing, they just stack the box anyways. It's a waste of money. So maybe that's what they're thinking.
His numbers are outrageous the last couple of years. Because everyone was scared of their passing game? Who was scared of their passing game?
No, what I'm getting at, though, is we almost run into the Juan Soto conversation here. Do you want to pay him and still suck? Or just let him walk and get another player that can try to replace what he does?
I guess there's just no trade value for running backs is the real problem. But I would think with him, it might be different.
I don't think there's a single running back that warrants a draft pick anymore.
I don't know. McCaffrey was great, and they traded for him.
Sure. Different, though. That was...
honestly, if he does end up... if that rumor's true and he does end up signing with Houston...
Right.
It's a massive upgrade for them.
No, of course. No, I agree with you. I agree.
And they're going to give him what he wants, and they're not even going to think twice about it.
The thing is, though, McCaffrey still does a little bit more than Saquon, too. He's a
agree,
dynamic pass catcher and everything.
To me, I don't know. I've seen so much of this guy, and he has just ruined my Sundays so many times, this dude.
The whole team does. What are you talking about?
I know, but it
doesn't matter who plays for them.
I don't know. I buy into, you pay special players, and you're sending the wrong message to everybody when you don't.
That's fair. I mean,
you're going to let him walk? You think the people in the locker room think they're better without him?
Yeah, that's true.
There's no way. All right, let me take a quick break. Rick Snider is going to join us next. Bram, watch the show, ESPN 630, Sports Capital. All right, welcome back. Let me welcome in my friend Rick Snider, longtime columnist here in the Washington area. And he's got a new book that has come out called Presidential Pours, which goes through the history of all of our presidents' favorite drinks. Hello, Rick. How are you?
Hey, Bram. Good.
All right.
The presidents needed a drink,
I think we all need a drink these days because of what the presidents are doing. Let's talk about the genesis of this. Why did you want to do this?
Well, I'm a local tour guide too. I like history. I like presidents, and I thought I want to do a local book. But the sights to see and all that stuff are already done. So I liked presidents. I thought, what can I write something different about them? And there's a lot of history about their drinking. I mean, the colonial presidents, they were ragers, man. They drank us under the table. There's only been the last four presidents aren't drinkers, Biden and Trump and Bush. I mean, it's kind of weird, but most of the time, I think presidents reflected the drinking of their times. Huh. And I think they all like to have a beer to be a man of the people.
So what was your favorite drink you learned about that a president enjoyed the most?
Maybe Bill Clinton. He had something called a snake bite. And it's a little bit of everything, but it's 8 ounces of hard cider and 8 ounces of beer. So it's a stiff drink and some currant. So, that was good. I mean, a few presidents had things done after them, like William McKinley has one. It's a lot of rye and whiskey, a lot of whiskey in presidents. And I guess Martha Washington, some of the first ladies drank. Martha Washington had a Roman punch with 4 different kinds of alcohol that would just put you on the floor.
Wait, Bill Clinton drank a drink I've never heard of.
It's popular in mostly Ireland and England and all. Some places it's not allowed. They say it's too strong to do.
Huh.
So.
All right. So let me ask you this. How did you verify this? Like, how did you find out what, I don't know, Zachary Taylor's favorite drink was?
A lot of, of course, all presidents have historical associations related to them. The back of my book actually has a bibliography of a lot of references. But a lot of them talk about it, like, Mount Vernon talks about George Washington whiskey ad nauseum. They still make his whiskey there if you want to go down and buy it occasionally. They do it 3 times a year. So I just kind of went through a lot of history books and stuff and magazine articles and you name it. It's been a popular topic, especially with the temperance movement.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about it in those years, what people did. So it was no secret, everybody drank.
Yeah. And did you put all the recipes in? Like if I wanted to make some of these from 1848?
Yeah, there's a few, not too many, but there are a few that I found actual recipes on in books. So like William McKinley's is in there, or FDR, like Bermuda rum swizzles, which can be kind of made several different ways on there. George Washington's eggnog has 4 types of rum in it, there. So, I have a few. There aren't a whole lot of them because they're kind of just you just drink your whiskey, and that kind of thing. So I liked it. When Zachary Taylor was told he's going to be nominated for president, his quote was, "Stop your nonsense and drink your whiskey."
You are a long way away from writing detailed histories of the Washington Redskins by going down the drinking proclivities of the American presidents. That's amazing.
Well, there's nothing to write anymore about the Redskins at all. I thought about writing a farewell to RFK book, and I polled a lot of people about it, and I just didn't think anybody'd buy it. I don't like to write things people don't buy. So I think my next book, maybe this fall coming out, will be a Redskins memorabilia book that years ago at Arnie Sachs took the photos of them.
Huh.
And I have a ton of unique things that we photographed like 20 years ago before he passed. So that may come out this fall. But until they start winning some games, I don't think there'll be any more books on that.
Well, I'm waiting for who's going to write the Snider era book? Like,
not me. I can tell you one reason why.
Why is that?
I don't want to spend the rest of my life with lawyers. That's why. Plus, here's the problem with writing books and Twitter now. If I did this, you'd have a whole show tweeting out some of the best stuff in that book, and everybody would laugh and nobody would buy it.
And nobody buys the book.
I'm not doing that either.
I hear you. All right. While you're here, let me ask you a few things about what's going on these days. And, one of the things that you followed very, very closely through the years is RFK and its availability, or really lack thereof, because it was under control under the federal government. And as you know, there was a bill that was passed in the House. So where are you on the reality that RFK may be the home of the Commanders again?
I'd say it's probably 80-20 yes. I mean, anything can happen. Maryland still wants to try and bid on this. I would say, even though I think Leon's just going to end up in Alexandria, I'll bet you that there'll be a point when he's frustrated and says, that RFK site would go real well. I thought that for several years that they might go to RFK before Dan Snider left. Once Snider left, RFK became available. But before then, I thought Leon just might go to that section because the last part that was built in that part of town was RFK in '61. They desperately want something to regenerate that area. And I bet you'll hear Leon just talk about it. I don't expect it, but it'll come out just to do some leverage on contract talks. But, the Senate vote hasn't been slated yet, but it's considered an easy thing to get done. And then they'll do some serious negotiating. I still think, I keep hearing 2030 for a new stadium.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
that's a while.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, let's just say RFK matriculates through and actually gets passed and gets to the D.C. Council. I mean, we're talking 2025 before we even get to a point where they could start doing what they need to do to survey the land and do all the things they need to do. I mean, we're talking about 2026 to 2027 before they actually start building something. So it's a ways away.
And at RFK, they built 4 soccer fields to the left of the entrance. All right. It cost $15 million for these 4 soccer fields. And I talked to people doing it. Why? Soil remediation, the whole, pollution stuff. What's going to happen at RFK? I mean, that's why they're not blowing up RFK because they're still worried about, toxins. So what they're going to do at RFK, the place has been stripped, but they're literally going to dismantle the roof down to the ground and then take it apart. And then they'll take the brick apart, but they don't want to blow it up because we'd all die of cancer and stuff. So it's going to take a while.
Well, I had this dream. I had a dream that I get to have like the Wile E. Coyote button, and then I get to push it, and then the thing explodes. Like I get to do that, but I guess that you're saying that that's unrealistic.
No, and that they would have done it long ago, but they're just worried about toxins in the air, and we're all going to die. So it's going to take a little while. So that's why 2030 sounds like it. But I think it's the best thing for everything. It just wasn't going to happen until Dan Snider left, and who expected that to happen?
Right.
That came out of nowhere. So that's why for a long time I thought it would end up. I mean, Bram, there was a deal in place for this stadium to go to Oxon Cove, right? It was done, hadn't been signed. And after it was done, Snider baited Governor Hogan back then so much that Hogan pulled the deal back. He felt insulted so much by Dan Snider, giving him crap, as we know he could do.
What do you mean by baited him? What do you mean by that?
I mean, he was like tormenting him, but I got the better of you in this deal kind of thing. Made it really personal, and you know how he is, how he was. And, we would just, be sarcastic and mean to people about things, and I'm the boss and you're applesauce kind of stuff. And Hogan finally got tired of the stuff and said, we're not doing this. But I had people in the room who told me that deal was done and Dan blew it.
And that was the one that was what, by National Harbor? Like in that area?
Yeah, across. Yeah, Oxon Cove is just across the highway from National Harbor down by the Wilson Bridge.
Okay, on that front too, how serious do you think Woodbridge Dumfries was? Do you think that was close to happening a year or two ago?
Well, for about 2 minutes. And then even I wrote, what idiot thinks they can give $1 billion to this guy? And then the legislature, like that day, woke up and said, yeah, we're not giving this guy $1 billion. I mean, I always thought they said we have 3 spots, Woodbridge, Dumfries, and Sterling. Which one do you want? Are you kidding me? Do you want to live or do you want to die? I mean, what's your choice? So I thought it was always just a BS move, down there. I mean, my God, how far is that?
Yeah.
Can this station be heard there? I mean,
no.
That was crazy. Yeah.
The idea of driving down 95 for a Monday night or Thursday night game was preposterous.
But and supposedly they had talked to the Tesla people about building tunnels underground to go down there, like 50 miles of tunnel, or whatever. I mean, good Lord, it was just crazy talk about all that. I was amazed how many people took it seriously, and that they option land supposedly. Well, there's always development land. That's not a big deal.
You said that you think that the Monumental Group will move to Virginia. Why do you think that will eventually happen?
I'm amazed. I think Leonsis is one of the smartest people we ever meet, and yet he made one of the dumbest mistakes I've ever seen him do. He replicated Jack Kent Cook's mistake. There's a blueprint there that you could have said, Cook announced the deal on the same spite. I'm surprised they didn't use the same 10 holes. And say, it didn't have it signed or anything. And you have to respect in Virginia that the Richmond State House does not like spending money up north. Never have, and especially on the border. And here we go with the same thing again. They announced this deal. We're all happy under the same 10 area. And the State House leaders go, There's an 80-year-old woman who runs the Senate Finance and Appropriations Committee, and she has been throwing haymakers at Leonsis. But what she did, which I really loved, besides saying, does it look like I have dumb blank on my forehead over this deal, is she said, I want these things. Well, that's how the sausage is made. She just happens to put it out there in public. And they'll eventually get to that, but it's going to cost Leonsis a little more money. But he wants a Leonsis legacy land. He can't get that in D.C. There's no room for it. So I think eventually that, it's across the border. It's a few metro stops away. I don't think life changes greatly if they move there for the sports fans in this town. And it'll get done, but it's going to cost Ted a lot more because he didn't do it. He didn't set it up properly. The arrogance that he's had even since then, including yesterday where they claimed to be the first, people to do certain things and they weren't on financing and such. I'm really surprised he's making these mistakes.
Yeah. Well, if they were unwilling, and I know Dan Snider and Ted Leonsis are different people, but if they were unwilling to want to give that kind of money, $1 billion to Dan Snider, why are they so willing to do it for Ted Leonsis now, in your opinion?
Well, I know the governor is looking for a big win down there, and certainly bringing 2 sports teams to Virginia would be a big win. A lot of economic development. Unfortunately, you're shoehorning it into an area that traffic is already a mess. That's what, and the local opposition there has always been strong, even years ago and to now. So, but I think the governor wants this kind of thing, and a lot of people want it, but it's always what's the dollar cost of these things. They won't go $1 billion. They never weren't going to go to $1 billion for Dan. Once they sobered up, they said, okay, $300 million, all right, whatever. You have to balance what's this thing really worth. FedEx Field was not a big investment by Maryland. That's why we ended up in Frostburg, one of the perks of that thing. But they only made about $1 million a year in tax revenue on tickets for home games. So 10, 12 million a year, whatever it was, 10 million a year. They've been there 27 years. I guess they got their money back because the state only invested $70 million in FedEx Field's infrastructure, which can still be reused. That wasn't a bad deal. But now we're talking 300, or the mayor was talking 500 million for Cap One Arena.
Yeah.
If I'm the Commanders, I'm going $500,000, huh? Okay,
yeah.
$500,000. Let's start with that number.
Oh yeah. The second she put that number out, the Commanders' just ears perked up and went, "Oh, is that right? Really? Okay."
Yeah.
All right.
The beginning price.
Yeah, no kidding. All right. Last thing, and I'll let you go. What do you want the Commanders to do at quarterback?
I've decided I want them to go ahead and draft it too, even though I was kind of against it. But I don't see this team is not ready for playoff time, not for at least a couple years. If you get yourself a stopgap veteran for a couple years, so what? He's not going to really be here when this team matures, if it goes well. So if you think that, if I had to guess, I'm going to say May as the guy they would take, but that's a guess. But you can grow him to that point where you're all ready to go together, and a new coach has the time to do that. If you asked like Rivera the last year of his contract to go with a guy, you don't have time to grow that guy. You're going to get fired. You're looking for he looked for a lot of ways out, but a brand new coach gets that 2-3 years to develop that rookie quarterback. So it lines up well. That's the best way you can go. I think, when you hear Peter say, I have to find another quarterback, is that a Freudian slip?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
When the owner is there talking to all the quarterbacks, it just looks to me like they're going to go a quarterback there. I hope it's not Caleb because I'm not in on Caleb.
Oh.
I see that as a major red flag with him.
Why is that? I've said this a million times on these airwaves. I am all for bringing him here because I think he's a special talent. Why are you concerned about him?
2 reasons. One, I don't think he's a special talent, not a generational quarterback. I think he can do some nice things, but the red flags off the field and things that they want, and they're chasing money like crazy. That's why Chase Young's not here, because couldn't keep his mind on his business on the field. He was too worried about other stuff. I think this guy's going to be the same kind of problem. I don't care that he paints his fingernails, whatever, that kind of stuff. But I don't see him really leading a veteran pro team like this. And I don't think he has the talent to really be a great one. So for that reason, I'm not going number 2 with him. Now, if I could get him in late first round or second, I would. But that's not happening because everyone's talked him up. So there was a quarterback from Liberty, was it, a few years ago that everybody thought would go in the first round?
Malik. Yeah. Malik Willis.
And whatever. Mm-hmm. And what happened to him? Yeah. This is what happens when combine.
Yeah, I don't know. Caleb Williams was like a 5-star recruit, won the Heisman Trophy, outrageous statistics at a Power 5 school. I think it's different than the guy who went to Liberty, for sure.
Well, true, but I'm just saying that people hype these guys up a lot this time of year. They over-expect what they want, and I don't know that Caleb's quite going to be good enough in the pros. I see a lot of picks. I'm not in on him.
All right.
Sorry.
We'll agree to disagree on that one. All right. The book is called Presidential Pores. You can get that anywhere, right, Rick? It's all over the place.
Well, nah, not really. You can get it at Amazon or you can get it at my website, Monumental Thoughts. Bookstores are dead, Bram. You don't sell books in bookstores anymore.
That's right. Monumental Thoughts? It's Monumental Thoughts? Has Ted tried to buy this from you? Monumental Thoughts. I can't believe he's not suing you.
I was there before he was there. Okay. I've had that I've had it 14 years.
All right.
I predate him. But if you'd like to buy it, if you're out there listening, I'm willing to listen too.
All right. I'm letting Callow, by the way, borrow my copy of it. He wants to read it, if that's all right with you.
Okay.
And I will buy one. How about that? I will buy one. There you go. I'll support you.
There you go.
Rick.
I'll get a discount copy. Go ahead.
All right, Rick, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on today. Appreciate it. All right, see you.
Thanks for having
That's Rick Snider. We'll be right back. Bram Weinstein Show, ESPN 630, Sports Capital. I haven't heard something this early about someone wanting to leave a place like I'm hearing today for Ramona Shelburne on Wemby.
Oh, God.
This is a quote from being on ESPN going, I don't want to hear that word anymore, timeline. Wemby is ready to win. I don't know how patient he's going to be. How long are you going to give him, a year or two?
It's year 1.
He hasn't played one full season in the NBA.
He hasn't been good until like the last 2 months.
Is that how many postseason runs is that? 4?
That's 4, yes.
Okay, the Spurs obviously, there's no chance on earth that even if this was remotely true, okay? Like, and maybe, is she just projecting how he's going to feel about it? Or is she literally saying something like his camp is already talking, they don't want to be on an also-ran team?
Oh, I get it now. The plans all come together.
What's that?
They drafted Bilal because Wemby never wanted to go to San Antonio. He wants to play with his countrymen here in Washington.
So that's what it is?
Washington Wemby.
But he's looking at the record here of 9-52 or whatever it is.
There's some pieces, though. There's some pieces.
Bilal and Denny.
That's right. And Kuz. And not Poole.
Well, I mean, for 5-minute spurts, Poole's unbelievable, actually. Like, if you like crack cocaine, it was kind of like that. It'll hit you real fast. But then it just kind of
said caffeine,
dies off.
Man. You didn't have to go that deep. Come on, man.
All right. So are we there that we're this impatient that a guy could play not even a full season and we're already talking about how he doesn't want to be there and wants to be somewhere else? That it's impossible for the Spurs to, I don't know, get a couple of players around him and make them good? Right. That's where we are?
They're also going, dude, we kind of sucked to get you, so bear with us for a little bit here.
This is a case for don't have a draft.
Yeah.
What this is a case for is bidding wars for players, and the players choose where they want to go.
Right.
Period.
I mean, I'm looking at the Spurs roster, and it's pretty bad.
It's pretty terrible. You won't even know most of the names on it.
Correct, yeah. And which is fine, though. You're not through one season yet with them. You're going to get a bunch of open cap space because you're not paying for anybody. He needs to calm down. I mean,
no
he needs to
kidding.
calm down over there.
Of course he does.
Everybody
needs to calm down.
You're a man. You're 20.
I mean, it is though. If this is not her projecting, right, and just saying he's not going to stand for being there, but she hasn't said it to her,
right.
But if it is the other side of I don't know how long I'm going to put up with this, then it is the case for we just can't have a draft anymore. Listen, I think if it was up to Caleb Williams, he would pick and choose wherever he would go, and it would be to the top bidder and a place he wants to go to. Like, he's not definitively saying that. He's also not saying that.
Right.
No matter what my feelings are, I won't project my agenda. That's quite a caveat. I tell you what, like, the draft is something that it is from yesteryear. It really is. That the players could, at some point, just go, you know what? We're not down with that anymore. It doesn't mean we won't pick Oklahoma City. We might. You can't tell me we won't. We might.
Yeah, but no one's actually gonna pick those places realistically.
But okay, with the exception of this, like, let's just say the cap stays in place, though.
Yeah.
So somebody like the Lakers can't come along and give him $8 trillion and outspend everybody. You still got to fit it within a cap. So if they really want him, they actually have to move LeBron to do it.
Yeah.
That would negate trades, honestly. If there was no draft, it would negate trades.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see the draft going away. You need to have it. You need to have everyone at least have a chance to draft these guys.
Maybe not. I mean, we're seriously 60 games into his rookie season, and we're already projecting he's going to get unhappy and want to leave.
Yeah, I don't understand that one. I mean, I have to think it's over projecting of whatever.
I would like to think so too. I do feel like though that in my lifetime, the drafts will go away. That the player empowerment movement has a rational end to it, and that is like we're seeing it in college sports now. The scholarship means nothing. The commitment means nothing.
Right.
The portal is everything. They will come and go. They're not even on 1-year contracts. They bolt before seasons are over now. Players are dumping out before the tournament or the postseason rolls around. They're just like, bye. So, like, that's already happening. The players dictating trades in the NBA has already happened. It started happening in the NFL. There's a logical conclusion here. They're going to dictate wherever they want to go. Just they're going to have to make rules in professional sports about what a team can spend. Otherwise, I mean, it is in baseball now. It's in baseball now. Like, guys get free to sign with whoever if they just wait to free agency, they can sign with whoever they want.
Yeah, but they're still under team control. It's completely different. I mean, that's a different animal.
I think we're not far from.
It's not going to happen because of owners. It's not going to happen because of owners. Owners at least want the mirage that they can possibly get one of these guys.
Yes.
We all know the Wizards sucking doesn't guarantee anything, right?
Correct.
Look at the Pistons we were talking about before the show. They have all these top picks, and they suck just as bad as the Wizards, right? But all the owners at least want the illusion that they could get one of these guys and things eventually turn around.
Let me do this at the top of the hour. I can't, because since we're talking about this, I want to do this at the top of the hour. There was a clip where I guess Winger went on one of the Monumental shows and said it's going to be a 4 to 5 year thing, to which I said, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
What projections?
How would you project in the NBA? You could turn things around with one player. What are you talking about? 4 to 5 year deal. All right, so let me talk about that when we come back. Bram, watch the show, ESPN 630 Sports Capital. I can't find this tweet that I saw last night, but it was a clip. I guess Rachel Nichols on her show at Monumental spoke to Winger and Dawkins. And the clip cited that it was going to be like a 4 to 5 year rebuild for the Wizards, which at 9-52 on a 15-game losing streak, and with a lot of pieces that we're not sure who are foundational pieces outside of probably Bilal, hopefully, and I guess Denny now, right?
Right.
And neither one of them project to be a superstar at this point. Maybe Bilal will be. Who knows? They said 4 to 5 year rebuild, and I'm sitting there going, what? Like, what?
There is a piece.
What?
There is a piece in The Athletic from our guy Josh Robbins that said Michael Winger did submit a 5-year plan to Leonsis for approval. And that was last May.
5-year plan.
And then he said he would update the plan after each year.
Okay. 5 years feels like a long time.
Maybe it was 5, and then It's still 5 after this year, after updating the plan.
I get it. We tore this thing down to the studs, sorta. I mean, They did re-sign Kuzma. They did acquire Poole. Those are real money contracts.
Sure.
So those are the only 2 real money contracts that they have. Like Tyus Jones will probably be on another team next year. Like Denny, they re-signed, but Denny to a reasonable rate, and they drafted Bilal. That's it. Like that. Those are the no offense, Corey Kispert or people like that, but like that's it. That's it. Right. And so they're not tied down to a lot, but they have a couple of pieces here. And I'm sitting there going, though, it's the NBA. Are you realistically 5 years? You need 5 years to get us into a spot where we're competing for what exactly are you talking about?
Right.
Because the Clippers just went and acquired big stars.
Yep. Right.
That's what he did in the past. And the Clippers are very good right now. The last week, now that the players are trying again because it's past the All-Star break and they try now, they've actually lost a couple of games that are a little illuminating, to be honest. Like, they lost last night to the Bucks without Giannis. And they had they got beat by the Lakers late. Lakers just beat the Thunder. Like, everybody's trying now. And all of a sudden, and so I think you're starting to see, the difference. But the way they built that team and put them in position to potentially win was they went and acquired Paul George, James Harden, and Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
What are we talking about here? Because, are we not talking about acquiring people like that? Because that's what would take 5 years. You go acquire one of those people and pair them with the 2 or 3 guys that we just mentioned. Then all of a sudden, oh, look at that. We have a decent team that might be kind of on the verge of heading in a certain direction. Or are we Oklahoma City? Is that what we're talking about? Like, we're going to dump off everybody for everything we can get to get so many draft picks that when we hit on someone like get a number 2 pick and get Holmgren or get Shea and he turns out to be really, really good, then we hit the gas button on it. Right. Is that what are we talking about here?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not an executive for the NBA, and I would not pretend like I know, but 5 years, too, means whoever you're drafting in that first year is then not under contract at the end of that 5-year deal. So are you saying everybody's working out? Are you saying me that Bilal is going to be the franchise cornerstone? I mean, I haven't seen enough for that. It seems like he's going to be really, really good, but he's not nearly there yet. I've seen signs. Trust me, I'm very pleasantly surprised by him. But
and Denny, I'll be honest, I never saw the offensive growth from him that is happening. I want to be fair to him. I thought
he's reverted a little bit back lately, but yeah.
I thought he'd be a really, really good defensive player, but he would never turn into any kind of consistent offensive player at all. And that's changed this year. He's gotten, way better from the 3-point line. His drives to the basket have changed here. He's a changed player. So I'm all for, okay, he's growing up and he's turning into a good player. And, to be fair to him, he was not like Bilal was a teenager when he showed up here and played international ball. So, I get it. And I'm all for that. But I don't know, just hearing that, I'm kind of in the NBA, do you seriously need 4 to 5 years to turn a franchise around? I think what this team needs to do is something they've never been able to do, become appealing to free agents.
Right.
Or to become an appealing place to trade for somebody.
Right. I mean, that could be a part of the plan.
I guess. That's the part. That's the part that's bothered me about this whole time. Everyone who plays here likes playing here.
Yeah.
It's a big major market. It's got a little bit for everybody. It's a town that loves basketball, dying for a winner.
Sure.
We can't acquire anybody.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's a bigger question that I've always had. I've never understood how or why they're like that.
So why are we acting like we're Oklahoma City then, and we need 4 to 5 years to dump everybody off to get everything that we can to build and hopefully get what the Thunder have right now?
Well, I don't know what the plan is, but I don't think it's going to be to dump everybody off.
I want to know what the plan is. Well,
they're not going to tell you that, though.
I guess. Or I guess they don't want to put any – if they say it could be a 3-year plan, then they're putting pressure on themselves to acquire somebody to come here, and they don't know that they can do it.
That's right. Yes, correct. Because he doesn't know that they can do it. I mean, in his defense –
well, this is why I wanted to, nothing against him, and I don't know what they're doing yet. And I knew the season would be bad. I didn't know it'd be this bad, but I knew it'd be bad. What I wanted from the GM candidate, whoever it may be, what I wanted was somebody who is got the connections with all the stars.
Right. Well, so does everyone. I mean,
make Rich Paul our GM.
Well, I mean, even look at the Knicks. The Knicks hired that too, and hasn't come to fruition there.
It's starting to now, finally.
As
it turned out,
but it was by normal though. It was by normal trades though and signings.
As it turned out though, he had a beef with those people that apparently needed to be cleared up.
Right.
So that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Knicks still didn't they weren't getting stars all
No,
right
they
away.
weren't.
Like, it didn't happen.
I think that was an ownership issue.
Probably, yeah. I mean, it's still the Knicks. It's one of the few franchises that still kind of outshines bad ownership.
Yes. It's a premier place to play.
Yeah, right.
Like, it's the best home arena. The fans are incredible. They've got bad ownership.
Right.
And I guess it's been a tough place to play. And people don't want to go there.
Right.
Whatever. But, like, when they hired him, I went, oh, that's smart. They went and got an agent who knows all the people and has all the inner workings. As it turns out, he didn't have a great relationship with them.
Yeah,
As it turns out. This is why I wanted somebody like that. I'm like, Rich Paul or his acolyte. That's what I want. Go get that person who's having these conversations with these super agents and these superstars and explaining to them what they can have, or at least hearing from them, what do you need from us here to make this the place you want to be at? And what do we have to do?
Yeah, right.
And nothing against Winger and Dawkins. I think they're good at their jobs, and I want to give them a chance. But when you're telling me it's going to take you 5 years to turn this thing around, like, how's that the
I still
case?
think you need to get the quote right, because I don't the piece from Josh Robinson doesn't say rebuild, just says 5-year plan.
5-year plan. Okay.
There's a difference there.
All right.
Because they also have not ever used the word rebuild either.
What did they call it?
I don't know.
The Commanders called it recalibration.
Yeah,
Remember
same,
that?
all bull.
Same
you
thing?
Know what? Yeah, it's all the same thing. It means a rebuild, but they're not using that word.
This one is full on.
Yeah, sure, which I'm at peace with.
So am I.
Like, I saw, I forget who's on with Beetle show. I sent you the clip, but whoever had the quote of just saying, "Oh, it was embarrassing seeing Kuzma smiling and
Lou
laughing."
Williams.
Yeah, Lou Williams. I'm like,
Yeah, I like
bro,
them and I like their show.
Yeah.
And to your point, they're doing very good job on
Yeah,
social media getting themselves out
whoever
there.
they hired to get that out there, good for them. But he's like, "This is BS. You're getting rooked all year," and I'm like, "Dude, I'm happy with this." I said for years with the Wizards, the worst thing that the Wizards did was middle, where they couldn't get a high draft pick, where they couldn't get a lottery pick. And now they suck. And I'm happy with it because they're at least going one direction. They're not just staying stagnant, which is the worst part of the whole Bradley Beal thing. So
the decisions that are made on specific players, these one decisions, it's like no other sport. It screws the whole thing up.
yes, correct.
It tilts everything. If you make the wrong, especially at
But
that level.
we were all screaming, don't pay him.
do it.
Again, honestly.
Don't do it.
The
Right.
first time, whatever.
Whatever.
Supermax, no.
No.
We're all screaming at him
With
not
the
to
no
do
trade
it.
clause,
Yes.
all that stuff.
The only
where you're like,
player in
what
the
are you
league.
doing?
The only player in the league, by the way.
Correct.
So dumb all around.
I thought that they got a little unlucky through the years with it, like Gilbert getting hurt, let alone the dumb mistake he made. But like the getting hurt was really what did it.
Sure.
I mean, once his knee was ruined, like that really.
He didn't own the
kinda
team
did
at
it.
that point, though. That was Abe.
Right. But like,
So-
but they gave him. But didn't he give him the money?
he was the owner.
He gave it to him after the fact. It was Ted who gave it to him.
I can't remember exactly.
Ted was the owner when the gun stuff happened.
Yeah, he was when the gun stuff happened.
Yes.
But I don't think he handed him the contract. I don't think he handed him that contract.
He gave him the contract after the knee injury, right? Which was the gun stuff, right?
The gun stuff happened when he came back from the knee injury.
Back from the knee injury.
Yeah. And really, the gun stuff didn't happen then. It was.
I got my
came
timelines
out.
off now.
Because
I thought it happened in the same year. I guess not.
the gun stuff and the knee injury, he came back off the knee injury.
The knee injury happened when they were the 1 seed in the East in the middle of the season. And then he got hurt, and obviously the season got ruined because he got hurt.
Yes.
So the next year was the year he came back and did the gun stuff, but he also came back too early, which the team should have never let him do.
Correct. But the conspiracy theory that Gilbert has said out loud is, you know, that stuff in the locker room usually stays in the locker room, and somehow it came out. And Gilbert's conspiracy theory has always been that someone from the team, like from Ted's camp, tried to leak that so they could void the contract. And it's the NBA. You're not just going to void a contract out. So believe whoever you want to believe when it comes to that. But
sure. Okay. I'll buy that a little bit because he's right about that. But I do believe the police were called.
I don't remember on that front.
If they were, it was going to come out what the incident was.
Right. I don't remember.
I don't remember exactly either. But like if security, outside security specifically, was called to an incident in the arena, then we would find out what the incident was. And at that point, there would be no way around that. And then does he want to void the contract? Sure. I would believe that.
Right.
Like we've seen this before where people get kind of railroaded in bad contracts by being outed in certain ways with the hopes of getting out of the contract.
Right. Yeah,
that happens all
right.
That's part of the business, especially when you're paying somebody that amount of money and you want to try to get out of it.
From what I can see is I don't see any
They just
mention
let it
of
out?
the police is that I think it was just let out.
Okay.
It did. I mean, I also do want. I always feel like it's always worth mentioning with this story. He and Gerard Scranton did bury the hatchet. Like they talked about it literally on his show. Like it's water under the bridge for the two of them now. So
when he was in jail, Critton did.
He's out of jail.
Out of jail now.
He's out of jail now. Yeah, he was on his show like last year or 2 years ago. I think we played a clip or two from it, but like they talked it out, they aired it out. Like
the other one where Ted got unlucky was the Wall injury.
Yes. Yeah,
the Wall injury.
Yeah.
Like one playoff run got ruined because he broke his hand, and then he got his Achilles injury and the knee injuries and all that stuff, and that ruined his career. He's not even in the league now,
right.
And I remember they did the right thing by moving on from him because they had him under a contract. He was never going to be the same. I know you love the guy, but you had to make the move. You had to do it. So they got a little bit unlucky there. But they've had two prominently bad, to this point of it takes one bad decision to kind of ruin the opportunity. They did it with Otto Porter. It ruined that team by giving him a max deal that everybody screamed and yelled, do not do.
Right.
Like we all like, I like Otto. Everybody likes Otto. Do not give him a max deal. He is not a max player. If you do it, one, there's going to be hard feelings in the locker room. Clearly there was, because now everybody else knew they weren't going to get paid. All the other, not that Markieff Morris was going to get a max deal anyway, but he now knew he wasn't going to get any real money at all.
And you don't want to piss off a guy like that.
Correct.
Like in that way.
And secondarily, you can't give a max deal to a guy like that who's an average player. You just can't do it.
Right.
So that screwed up that team. And then with Brad, the Brad one was, in the same thing I'd say about Daniel Jones. It just reached a point where he's a good player, but he's not that, so you can't pay him that. And if you do pay him that, it limits all of your flexibility to do anything else. So you got to bite the bullet and move on and do it. They had the opportunity to trade him 1,000,000 times before that. Stephen A. Smith was screaming about it on First Take 1,000,000 times to be traded.
Right.
And had they done that, maybe they would have come out differently with a different group of players, but they didn't.
Right, exactly.
They also blew it on that Russ deal. That should have changed the franchise.
Yes, correct.
That was an amazing trade
right. And
for
they
them.
all lost their minds because Brad couldn't be a leader.
They took Russ, got out of the Wall deal. Amazing. They flipped Russ for all of these other players, one of which Kuzma is still here, and they blew it.
Yep, right.
Blew it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they should be a competitive roster right now, but they couldn't figure that out.
Let your boy two guns.
So now Winger, I'm going to give him, I'm giving him a chance here. I'm not dumping on him because I knew the season would be bad. I didn't know it'd be historically bad, which is where it's trending. The next two games are at home. They get Orlando and Charlotte. Orlando tomorrow night, Charlotte Friday night. If they do not win either one of those games, they'll be on a 17-game losing streak, and then they got a 4-game road trip, albeit with a few teams that aren't very good. Memphis, Houston, Chicago, but they're all on the road. So who knows? If they were to lose all of them, they'd be on a 21-game losing streak when they come back home, and they've got good teams like Sacramento and Boston coming here. I hope they don't break this record because I just don't want to have this record. I think if they lose Friday to Charlotte here, it's on.
I'm rooting for the showdown with Detroit. I don't care what anyone says.
Well, if they lose that one, because that would be 28, which would tie the record. Tie. The next one's a home game against Miami.
Oh.
And then it's a home game against the Bucks. And then it's a home game against the Lakers. They're going to lose all those.
They'll win one in between.
I think, yes. And I also don't, I'm not rooting for that. I do not want that to happen. Do you?
Yeah. Who cares? You
just dislike the Wizards at this point?
No.
You want your team, the hometown team, to own the worst losing streak in the history of the sport.
I want it to come down to the Detroit game. That's all. And then they can beat Detroit.
And win that game and not own that record.
I just want some kind of pulse from the fan base.
I still find it amazing that Detroit has the longest losing streak in the history of the sport. It happened this year, and the Wizards currently have a worse record than them.
That's right. Yeah.
How's that possible? How's that possible?
I mean, your team isn't good.
Really bad. Anyway, there was one other thing you sent me. Rick actually mentioned this when he was on the air.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And then you sent me this too. Eric Flack, who we like a lot from WUSA, who's following all the stadium stuff too, I guess pointed out a tweet that was put out by Monumental. And he asked them this. He said, After WUSA 9 asked Monumental Sports about a claim on on X on an arena project that, quote, has by far the highest percentage of private funding, lowest amount of upfront state cash, and is the first time any locality has had the chance to bring in 2 major league franchises at one time. That post has now been deleted. Probably because it's not true.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Which part isn't true, actually? All of it or some of it?
Well, it's all negated because of SoFi. SoFi was not only financed by the owner of the Chargers, name escaping me right now.
Oh, you mean the owner of the Rams, Kroenke.
Rams, Kroenke, yes, correct.
Kroenke. The Chargers are renting it from them.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. But Kroenke fronted the whole entire bill.
Is that right? He paid for the whole thing?
Yeah. That
was what LA paid for the infrastructure around it?
I think so. I think that's what it was.
Like tear down Hollywood Park, put in the new roads, whatever it was.
Do the math there. That's 2 NFL franchises.
2 NFL franchises.
2 NFL. That's 2 franchises.
Uh-huh.
So wrong on that one.
Well, but then the lowest amount of upfront state cash is probably another one that I'd need an accountant to look at the numbers on that.
Well, that's what he's getting at with it being financed by Kroenke, is that he was the one that paid for that stadium.
Oh, so has by far the highest percentage of private funding. Not true. Other owners have paid for. Jack Kent Cooke paid for the stadium in Landover.
Right, exactly.
The infrastructure was taken care of by Maryland, but Jack Kent Cooke paid for the infrastructure of that stadium out there. So, all right, so there's many misinformation, untruths there that Eric Flack asked about, and they just pulled that down.
Correct, yes.
In the meantime, I was watching them against the Jazz last night, and the Monumental Opportunity ad pops up every 3 minutes. Mm-hmm. And some of the things that they say are just... I want to help them actually a little bit because I'm one of these that I'm not against this.
I told you from the get-go, the PR on it is actually just a baffling decision after baffling decision.
So one of the... There's a few parts to this ad that I actually laughed at it, in the middle of it. So they have everybody's talking in the middle of this ad. Monica Dixon, who's one of the heads of Monumental Sports Entertainment, very smart person. I've met her before. I like her a lot. Zach talks in it. Ted talks in it. John Thompson III talks in it because he's senior vice president with the Wizards. Winger talks in it. Yep. Okay. The one minor one that I thought was amazing, I can't even believe was in this, was John Thompson III brings up how the Mystics would play at Capital One Arena under this new plan, and he would go there. And he goes, it's not unreasonable to think we would get 10,000 people to the arena, which is half the size of a sellout of the arena. So I'm like, wait a minute. You would move them, but you're only projecting that you would fill 50% of the seats if you did that? Right. That's your projection, and you're crowing about it? That's not a good crow. Just women's sports are booming. People are we're selling out the arena they play in currently. We think it's a good move for them. You do not need to explain to people that our best case scenario is 50% of the arena is going to be full. That's not a good selling point to me. So cut that out of you need to cut that out of that immediately.
Problem is the context isn't there. The ESA arena only holds 4,100 for basketball. So if he had said that's over double the amount they already playing right now, that would be a better way to
We have demand of double than what we can sell because we sell out the Mystics game, so we believe it's a good. You can't say it's reasonable to get 10,000, and I go, that's half the arena.
Right. Yes.
Don't say that.
Trust me.
Don't say that. Now that's a minor point, and and I'm like, you edited that. He didn't say it live. You edited this. Take that out. Number one. Winger just says platitudes about how great for women's sports it would be. Okay. Fine.
All right, fine.
Right, fine. Then we get Zach. Okay, Zach says in this commercial, listen, we have so many people trying to book this arena. We got to turn people down all the time, which is why we're going to be able to fill Capital One Arena when we move. So that's why it's great, guys. And I'm sitting there going, what are you talking about?
That is pure Goodfellas. Yeah. We'll fill the arena. Just take a ride over there.
What are you? Who are you turning down? Let me hear that one.
And what, are you not going to bring them into your new arena? Come on, guys.
Now, Ted goes on to say in this, there are longer things we could have, like Disney on Ice could be here for a week, or we could do this thing for, we could have Cirque du Soleil for 2 weeks. Like, we could do things like, I'll hear you on that.
I will hear them.
I will hear you on that.
Because we always get every year there's a couple of them. We get the horse show where both the Wizards and the Caps at the West Coast in October,
right.
Beginning of the season.
Show. Right.
Then we get we do get the Disney on Ice, but that one I don't think is as complicated because they already have ice down there. So that's usually like a week. And then the other one is they do like monster trucks for like 5 days or something too.
The other thing too, and Ted with a big smile on his face is like, we love DC. We don't not love DC. And I'm sitting there going, I know you can't go full heel and be like, bye. You can't do that. But it's not working. That's not going to work.
Correct.
There are people that are going to be upset about this decision, and you need to just stop saying things like that because it doesn't sound very genuine.
I've told you.
So you need to stop doing this.
By the way, I'm glad Rick mentioned it because he was right in lockstep with me. He just didn't learn from the last playbook, which is like what weirds me out, actually, honestly, that you just ignored how the last person tried to handle all this. 2, I've told you this from the get-go. If all they did was PR it as, look how much land there is, and just left it at that, everyone has to go, yep, that's the one thing DC can't give you is land.
They can't give you this.
That solves all of the PR stuff around it. But they just refused to do that. It was the last thing in the 50-page email that they sent.
It is so obviously abundantly clear that he wants to be perceived as doing a good thing and that he's a good guy. And not everything you do as a sports owner is going to be taken that way, but he seems to not love the idea of being booed for anything. And I don't know how he didn't see. He must have. How did they not see it coming that there would be pushback? And I mean hard pushback at this.
Right.
Now, I'll reiterate. I'm one of those people I'm not against this. I totally get why they're doing it. I think that some of the city leaders need to take some of the blame here, like a good percentage of it. He's not wrong. I don't think he's gone out of his way to bring up crime and all that stuff and vacancies down there and shutterings of restaurants and bars and stuff like that. But he's right about that part. And that's on the city leadership to have done something about it. And now, what feels a little too late, they're claiming they are going to do things about it. But it feels a little too late to the party to do it. And so I'm with him on all that. And plus, I also look at this for him and his business. No kidding, that's an incredible deal for them.
Right.
And, the original point when people push back about where they're moving to, if you're being realistic about it, it's not that far away. Let's stop making it out like they're moving to Salisbury. They're not. They're not moving that far away. Yes, it's going to be harder to get to it from certain places. That would be the case no matter where they move to. But as long as they're staying in the region, and they are staying in the region, I don't have a humongous issue with all of that stuff. Okay, they're moving into Virginia. All right, so I'll have to get used to it. They're not moving to Richmond.
Right.
They're not moving that far away.
But I think what everyone's getting at, though, is they would much rather give their money and be downtown than go over there. And I'm with you. People will just get used to it if it happens. But I think Ted is trying to have it both ways. He's trying to make a very dramatic move and make sure that no one says anything bad about it. When the realistic thing is, whenever you make a move like this, it's not all good. It's not all sunshines and rainbows and butterflies.
No.
You are making a difficult decision, and you need to live with it. But not everyone's going to agree with you, no matter how pumped one side of the aisle is and how bummed the other side of the aisle is. I think that's what's really weird here. And as I said, the best thing Ted could have done was done what Dan did. It was not say a word about any of it and just let it happen. And instead, he's showing that it's affecting him. And if anything, that's going to rally the troops up even more.
Plus, I don't know. If I'm DC, do I want them running Capital One Arena? Maybe I do.
It does help. Let's
maybe.
be real. But I also still.
But I would want. There's got to be a promise of how many dates are going to be filled in there.
I agree with you on that.
Because
you can't pull that BS.
We just turned down so much, and we could just allow it to all be down there, and they were painting it's all going to be this family-friendly stuff that'll bring people down into the city, and I'm like, that's all well and good, but you better do it.
Right.
Because if you don't, then we need another group to run this venue on our behalf.
That's right. Yep.
That may be part of it. We don't want you running this any longer, which could be a mistake for the district if you have the wrong people doing it. They've made mistakes in this realm of entertainment before. Go look at the rollout of internet gambling with them. What a massive mistake that was. And it was one of those, like the second it happened, I went, that's not going to go well.
Right.
Like it's going to go really poorly. So out of like haste and disgust for what he did, I could see them making a decision like, well, you now, since you're out of here, you have no say in anything that goes on in this arena. We'll take care of it. And then there's like these no bid contracts with some guy who doesn't, is like greasing the pockets of the DC City Council, but doesn't really know how to, put acts in an arena.
Well, the other part about all this,
I'm sure the people who run the Anthem and that are like, give us that arena, guys. We'll take care of it.
IMP has already helped booking out that arena before. Like there's already events that are presented by IMP at Capital One Arena. So they're already partnering somehow. I don't know if that runs through, like, you know how this works sometimes with marketing. Like, for all you know, they're just booking it through IMP that books Cap One. But I don't know.
He probably wants to keep it, too, because he wants to keep that book.
Sure. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I absolutely want
to keep it. And if I'm DC, I've somehow threatened to get that out from under his hands and let someone else run that. Just be careful who you let run that.
Yeah, right.
We've already messed that up before.
Yeah, right. But that's a ridiculous one to just bring it all the way back around to say, oh, like we're still going to have all these big events down there at Capital One. Are you telling me that when, like Springsteen is touring his arena tours, you're not going to put it in the new one? You're going to put it in the old one? Like,
that's the thing.
Like you just can't you can't have full control of that because we all know what's going to happen that time.
Right. Like Olivia Rodrigo is not going to be at Cap One. She's going to be at your new arena. Right. I already know that.
That's right.
Like Disney on Ice. Great. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. You can have the Blast On. They're going to start playing down here at Cap One. Blast On.
I told you. I mean, like I said, all they had to do was market it as land. And seriously, I think everyone would have calmed down. But they're just...
No. It has to be like...
leaning into this
Lean into it.